Welcome to NFL Week 13 of the Sports Phenom Show, the best damn sports betting show on the planet, where you get all of my capping insight and picks on every game in under 30 minutes. No boring gibberish, only the main points that need to be said, with no commercials, just the way we like it. I am the owner of sportsbettingphenoms.com, better known as the Phenom, World Series of Handicapping Champion. I run the only site on the planet where all of our cappers had to go through a rigorous qualifying process, all of which did so with at least a 60% record and unprecedented units of profits, max lines of only minus 150, different tier levels based on each capper's performance, where all results are fully documented from day one, and all of our packages are 100% guaranteed to profit. No one else offers what we do at more than fair prices and unprecedented results that you simply can't find anywhere else. So now we're going to do a quick recap. I want to take a moment here to thank all of you for helping this YouTube channel, this video podcast continue to grow. We are getting bigger by the week. So make sure to subscribe and like as we continue this growth. I've got big plans moving forward, upcoming seasons, off season, doing more sports, bringing on more cappers. It's just the beginning, folks. So again, thank you for all your support, your amazing, humbling comments. It's really appreciative. I go through each and every single comment, by the way, try to get back to as many as I can. Again, very humbling. Thank you so much for all the positive feedback. I really do appreciate it. And all I ask to continue as we continue this growth is to like and subscribe. It really helps out. Now, to that quick recap, as mentioned, where we stand basically right now after 12 weeks of the season. Listen to this. 120 wins and only 67 losses overall on everything I've given you since the beginning in week 1. 120 and 67. That's an incredible 64%. 64% out of 187 plays. And I'm on a run right now of 73 and 38 over the last 111 picks. That's 66%. You know, I've been saying it in previous podcast recordings. They say that 65% out of every 100 plays is the top echelon in the business. The best of the best. The best of the best. Well, then I must be in the top 1% of that 1%. I mean, with records like I'm just finished telling you, fair to say, you have found the right place to be. I should clearly be your number one source, your go-to for all of your sports betting needs. And as for last week, I got a little bit bamboozled, I'll be honest with you, on a couple of my Money 5 picks. Overall, very good once again. But even though there hasn't been that many losses here this season, I'm on a bit of a bad beat trend as of late, especially on some of these Money 5 selections, where I'm finding myself dealing with these idiot drunken kickers missing crucial kicks at crucial times of the game. And it's continually biting me in the ass the last few weeks. I mean, specifically last week on the Houston teaser that I gave you. Kaimi Fairbairn misses the tying field goal nearing the end of the game that would have set up an overtime for the Texans, and more than likely we end up winning that game. I mean, I'm out here every week talking about idiot, drunken kickers. And this one even closer that he missed. That Fairbairn missed. It was closer than a chip shot. Closer than even an extra point, in all honesty. It's sickening, disturbing, and why I believe that certain positions in the NFL should be performance-based, especially on these crucial, game-deciding, late-game kicks. Don't you agree? I mean, you miss, you don't get paid. How about that? Adding to my frustration is the fact that I continue to find myself on these games for some unknown reason. How the heck am I finding the needle in the haystack of these types of games every single week? I mean, it's just happening a lot. I hate it. Where the kicker continues to screw me over. It's crazy. So as good as my record has been, imagine even how much better. And it's truly unprecedented. One of the best seasons probably in the history of any capper out there. But you know what? I get it. You got to take the good with the bad. These are bad beat kicker games that could happen to anybody. They're just happening a little bit too much for my liking. The other Money 5 loss I want to mention was on San Francisco. Obviously, it was unfortunate that we can't fairly assess that pick, as Purdy ended up being a late week scratch. I think a day or two, something like that. I forget how many days after I uploaded this video to YouTube. So that game, a total unnecessary pick that didn't end up having a fair evaluation in the end. I told members, by the way, though, to jump on Green Bay the other way once this word came out. So that, again, makes me stress the importance of becoming a client of mine for reasons exactly like this. Come Sunday morning, I make my official releases. And there are always circumstances like this that come into play every week. Some games we will stay on if I still like them. Others we will pass on, like I decided here with San Francisco. And some will just simply go the opposite, just like we did now taking Green Bay instead. And even things like 2 Money 5 winners like that, I gave you on Monday night, where I loved the game so much, I gave it to you on Baltimore and the over as 2 of my 5 Money 5 selections that I told my clients, come Monday, I love this side in total so much that I ended up making it my parlay of the year. And you all saw how that turned out. An easy as pie side in total winner. My clients cashed. You guys cashed too. That's great. But you could have cashed even a little more. So these are all the reasons why my clients continue to laugh all the way to the bank with bigger and even more cash than you can get on this recording. So an extra congrats to them. Congrats to you, though, all following along here. It's just added bonus opportunity of being a client, taking your sports investments to the next level. So if you want to do that, you want to take advantage, and you want to take your gambling endeavors, your sports investment to that next level, simply reach out to me via email at sportsgamblingphenom@gmail.com. Again, sportsgamblingphenom@gmail.com. You message me, and I will change your life and show you winning like you've never seen before. For those of you getting your first taste of it here this year, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. Nobody can say otherwise. All the proof on every single week right here on these videos. Now, let's get to this week's action. Week number 13, and wow, can't believe how fast this season is going. We started all off with Thursday's action. It's Happy Thanksgiving Extravaganza with 3 games. How exciting is that? Gotta love the American Thanksgiving. They do it right. They started on Thursday, go shopping on Saturday, recoup over the weekend, and back to work Monday. Just the way Thanksgiving should be. First game on Thursday is Chicago and Detroit. So right off the bat here, we have an interesting interdivision rivalry game. And also, before I forget, hey, happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there. All of my clientele from the States and all of you following here from the States on this podcast. Again, happy Thanksgiving. May it be an enjoyable, safe, and fun, happy family day to you all. So a couple things that are going to stand out for me right away here in this game. First, it's an incredibly high spread, right? Detroit laying 10.5. I had this one at 9.5. And has Vegas forgot that Detroit has lost 7 straight Thanksgiving Day games? That dating back all the way to 2017? And now you're asking them to not only break that streak, which I admit is more than likely going to happen. They will get their first win here over the last 8 Thanksgiving days, but you're not going to be crazy enough to lay 500 on them. So instead, you're going to have to ask yourself, are you willing to bet on them to win by 11 points in a game that's an interdivision rival that you're playing for the second time this season? That's the question you have to ask yourself. So in consideration, it does seem a bit high to me. On top, again, it's a rivalry game. And let's not forget that the Bears have absolutely owned the head-to-head matchup between these two teams. So much so, listen to the record, 105-78 to the Bears. And beat a very good team in Detroit, by the way, in their last meeting, 28-13. So again, it sure does seem like a lot of points in consideration. So now I get the argument that this is a different Detroit team. One that's on a 9-2 against the spread run. Obviously, one of the best teams in the entire league this year. I think they might actually even be the best ATS team in the league. And they're on a serious mission. I don't deny it. I'm actually a little surprised that the way they're pounding teams game in and game out. Usually there's some letdown games or whatnot, but they have taken it very seriously this season, and they've taken every opponent seriously, and it's shown in the results. I definitely am willing to admit to that. But I'll tell you, I don't lay double-digit points. I've said this in the past, and this is no different, no matter what the circumstance, especially in a series that's being owned by the Bears. And we know the Bears will come to play here. They're not going to want to get embarrassed on Thanksgiving Day on national TV. They've also looked very good in the last 2 games, to be quite honest with you. Losses that could have easily went that way. Let's not forget they had a game-winning field goal attempt against Green Bay, but had that blocked. So very unfortunate not to win that game. That was another interdivision rivalry game, so you see how they take those games seriously. And they lost to the Vikings last week only by 3 points. A very, very good Vikings team. So this is what I'm going to do. Because I do believe they win the game outright. I think we can all agree to that. So what we will end up doing here, and what will be my first 3-team, 10-point Money 5 teaser this season. This will be the first game of 3 in that teaser, and we'll take the Lions down to -0.5. So stay tuned for the other 2 games upcoming that I will be putting in this Money 5 teaser. Next game, the second of 3 Thanksgiving Day selections. New York Giants at Dallas. Well, I absolutely hate this game. I'm not going to read into the Cowboys last week just because they beat Washington, which, by the way, I believe was more of the Commanders, who not only had a bad game, but didn't even look like they showed up. And on the other hand, you have Tommy DeVito now leading the Giants, who looked like he was a deer in headlights in his first start. So everyone and their grandmothers will automatically be looking at Dallas here because of those 2 scenarios. But folks, just like the Chicago-Detroit game I just finished capping and talking about, this is a rivalry game. An interdivisional rivalry game at that. So I expect it to be a closer affair than maybe a lot of you might think. And even though I hate this game, you have to go here probably with the points. It's the right sharp play to do. But if you're going to, don't go crazy on it. It's just going to be more one that you can enjoy watching, laughing at, as both these teams are pretty much laughing stocks of the league right now. Other than that, I wouldn't do much on this game. Next game, and this is your final play for Thanksgiving Day. Your third matchup between Miami and Green Bay. This will be the nightcap. And another game, in all honesty, that I'm not really feeling. You have a very desperate Miami team that has to win, has to pretty much win out at this point of the season. If you're going to have any chance of making the playoffs, it's a must win. But they are playing here in the cold weather, and you know that's the Dolphins' kryptonite. Well, their opponent, on the other hand, Green Bay, is rolling. They are rolling big time right now with an 8-3 record on the season, and are coming off that big win against the 49ers in a blowout, 38-10. Now, of course, yeah, San Fran didn't have Purdy, but still a very impressive win over a good 49er defensive team. And they've won, I think, their last 6 of 7 now. So hard to go against the Packers, right? They're just playing that good. Now, with all that said, I can't stop thinking about how desperate the Dolphins are here right now. And by the way, a Dolphins team that has started to right the ship, haven't they? Ever since Tua's return. They're back to who we thought they were, who we thought they would be. They've now won 3 straight. So I'm going to take a shot. I usually wouldn't in this situation. But again, I think the situation of the Dolphins being as desperate as they are, playing as well as they are, will overtake my opinion on the cold weather kryptonite of playing in Green Bay. Green Bay also sitting very comfortably, as mentioned, with an 8-3 mark here. So they might not be as desperate. And they have won a couple close games over the Bears, specifically, where they could have lost that on the last second field goal that they blocked. And they've had some wins here that maybe they feel kind of lucky to even have gotten. So with all that said, I think taking the Miami Dolphins here in this spot is worth a shot. Don't go crazy, but my play will be a lean to Miami, plus the 3.5. Next game, and now we have a Black Friday special game. Vegas and Kansas City, and I kind of like this. It would be nice to actually have a Friday game every week, wouldn't it? That would just add to all the enjoyment of watching the NFL here over the weekend. Make it Thursday, Friday. Actually, while you're at it, throw in a Saturday game. I would have absolutely no problem with that. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, big slate Sunday, and then the final selection on Monday. But hey, for now, we'll take this Black Friday game between Vegas and Kansas City. And wow, once again, we saw just how lucky this Kansas City team is and continues to be. Been talking about it all season long, podcast after podcast. This time, barely squeaking out a win against the shit Carolina Panthers. Now, if you ask me, I think teams are starting to figure out this Steve Spagnuolo-led defense, the Steve Spagnuolo's defensive schemes. No doubt he is a defensive mastermind, but I'm really starting to think that they're seeing some holes here, and that's why they're starting to get at this Kansas City defense. You can see some very interesting trends in these games and some of the plays that they're using against the Kansas City defense, and they're definitely taking advantage. And that's a real big reason, I think, why a lot of these Kansas City games this year have been so close. And they're starting to figure them out to a point where I really believe that Kansas City is beatable every single game. It's just that prominent of a leak. And let's not forget, Kansas City has some other things to their advantage. You know, the refs of the league in their back pocket. But if there's one thing that teams can take advantage of and use to their advantage now, is how they're taking advantage of figuring out this Steve Spagnuolo's defense. This is a huge part of conversation as we head into the latter part of the season now with Kansas City and into the playoffs. So with that in mind, that's a big reason why I'm going to lean towards a dog here in this one. Let's not forget that this is also still an AFC West rivalry game. A lot of them here this week. And Vegas, they've found ways to beat Kansas City before. Let's not forget about last Christmas Day when they beat them 20-14 and ran around the stadium after they did it. I actually enjoyed that. It would be nice to see something like that again. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be able to do that again, but I have a sneaky feeling, could be squeaky too, that they're going to just pull this one off right down in the wire, right at the end, and somehow get by the Raiders here in this one like they do, game in and game out. So in the end, it's the Raiders or nothing for me. Even the one game they played this year, Kansas City got their revenge on that game, but only beat them by 7. You would think that Kansas City would want to pummel them after that embarrassing loss on Christmas Day and what they did after they won, the Raiders. But no, they only beat them by 7. So this is going to be another close one. I'm not going to go big time on it, and I'm not going to put it in the money 5, and I'm not going to tell you to put too much on it. But the smart play, the sharp play is definitely to keep going against Kansas City, especially against these double-digit lays. Are you nuts? What is Vegas thinking here? No. If only Vegas had a better quarterback scenario and we're playing a little bit better this season, this would be a game of the year, underdog of the year type scenario. But for now, and in this spot and in this situation and where we're at in the season, I'm going to lean towards the Raiders here. Next game, and now finally to the Sunday card, our first game of that Sunday slate, the LA Chargers and Atlanta. And okay, we've reached now the second part of my 3-team 10-point teaser, money 5 teaser at that, where we're going to take the LA Chargers from -2.5 all the way up to +7.5. The Chargers are coming off that loss to the Baltimore Ravens on Monday. And I would have considered taking them here as a straight up play or against the spread if it wasn't for the fact, though, that Atlanta is coming off the bye week. That's the only reason I've decided to instead put them in the teaser. So even though I'm a little bit iffy about a money line or ATS shot on the Chargers here in this one, covering the plus 7.5 shouldn't be a problem. So again, the second of 3 teams in that 3-team 10-point teaser is on the Chargers. Bump them up to 7.5, and we'll have a final team to add to that teaser upcoming. Stay tuned for that. Next game, and this is my first of 5 straight up against the spread. Money 5 selections. Seattle at the New York Jets. 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 That's got to be one of the best chants in all of football. I love it. Now, I really hope this game isn't going to come back to haunt me, because I've been on the Jets a few times this season, a few times in the Money 5. They've did me more good than not, but the last time they lost for me, it really got to me. Really, really got to me. And it was a Money 5, and I said I probably, more than likely, wouldn't be on the Jets again this season. But I do like them in this spot. And again, I can't go against my ways, my morals, my experience, decades of it. If I see something, I've got to take advantage of it. Just one of those things. So again, hope it doesn't come back to haunt me. But the Jets are the play here in this game. If they lose this game, they might as well bench Aaron Rodgers. That's the first thing. And simply tank the rest of the season. I mean, that's how bad it'll be. They're coming off a bye here, folks. They've had 2 weeks to ripe whatever ship is left of this season, left of this Aaron Rodgers return. They fired the coach. There's been so many things that have happened. If it's been unsettling to this point, they had Devontae Adams come in. They didn't seem to gel right away. There's been so much going on, but now you've had 2 weeks to settle things down, right the ship, see what's left of what's been an absolutely abysmal and pathetic, embarrassing season. So this is the game you have to win. If nothing more, for pride and for your fans, your die-hard fans that are sitting there chanting Jets, 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 Jets. Do it for them. And if not, then as I said, bench Aaron Rodgers, tank the rest of the season, and fully reset for next year, get a new coach, draft a quarterback, which is their only chance to move forward then at that point, and have something to look forward to in the future. So I do believe, though, before we even get to that conversation, if it happens, that this will be their best effort of the season. I believe we'll see the best Jets D we've seen all season, or at very least since the loss of their coach Salah, which admittedly now I'm not sure might have been the best move, because we're starting to see, at least on the defensive side of things, how much he meant to that team. And it was more so maybe what they had as a team collectively with players that might have been more of a problem than he was. So with all that said, folks, this is a game I believe the Jets come to play. Again, they owe it to their fans. If I'm wrong, I will own up to it. I'll be the first to do so next week on next week's podcast. It's fully on me. But I'm taking it here, folks. Jets, 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 Jets. Money 5 selection. I'm riding it. Tail if you may. Tail if you will. Jets, 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 Jets. Next game, New England and Indianapolis. Well, this pick for me isn't as much about taking Indianapolis, but more so against New England and quarterback Drake May, who looked absolutely dreadful, by the way, against the Dolphins last week. He's now lost 2 straight games, and doesn't seem to be progressing like most of the other quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks in the league. So I'm on Indy in this one. More so again, just the fact that I'm going against New England and the progress of Drake May here. It's the first vomit game of the week. So nothing more than just an opinion on Indianapolis. Next game, Arizona at Minnesota. Well, what a season Minnesota has had thus far. Racking up the wins like they're going on a style. Sitting currently at 9-2 on the season. Wow. What a great move this has been for Sam Darnold and the Viking organization. Things are upbeat, and they have a lot to look forward to here this season with an exciting playoff run possibly still to come. And they're still fighting things out with the Detroit Lions, aren't they? They're not out of it as they continue to battle for the top spot in the NFC North. It is close. Very close. I think we're forgetting about the Vikings and the fact that they're only one game behind Detroit right now. They only had 2 losses, and one of those was to Detroit. So it just tells you the quality of this Viking team and that they're a team that still should be considered as a playoff contender, as somebody that could possibly surprise in the playoffs. And you know what? As perfect as the scheduling is this year, they will end up meeting Detroit once again to finish off the season in Week 18. How sweet is that? That might just end up being the game of the week. And it very well could be for all the marbles, which would surely make for a fantastic division game. But before we get to that point, and before that's even possible, Minnesota has to continue to win. They have to continue to beat teams that they are better than. They need to win out. So beating a team like Arizona should be a given. Should be something they should be able to handle. Should be motivating enough for them to continue to play strongly. They have something to play for. And especially winning at home is a must. So I'm not crazy about the line, especially about it being over a field goal. But it is the right way to go. So I'm going to lean here with Minnesota. If you can get that under 2.5, maybe by a point, that's probably even a smarter way to go. So again, Minnesota, the only way to go here. Take the Vikings that continue to roll. Next game, Houston and Jacksonville. Well, the Jags are coming off a bye here in this one, and Houston, who currently sits at 7-5, has somewhat regressed as of late. They've lost 3 of their last 4, and surprisingly, 4 of their last 6. I really didn't see this coming, to be honest with you. I thought Houston were progressing. Stroud was progressing, and this was a team to be reckoned with here this year. But again, not as of late. And there are only 2 wins, by the way. Those 2 wins they've had in the last 6 have come against losing record teams. One was against Indianapolis, and the other against an absolute team in turmoil right now, the Dallas Cowboys. So this is looking like way too many points for me right now anyways. If Houston be playing better, I would have had no problem laying it with them. But in this situation, Jacksonville coming off the bye, Houston losing 3 of their last 4, 4 of their last 6. I think, if I'm correct, Jacksonville's had some success in this series too, head-to-head. So I'm going to lean with the dog here in this one. Take Jacksonville plus 5.5. Next game, Tennessee and Washington. So sorry about this one. You all know I'm passing on Tennessee as I have been for most of the last handful of weeks, and will continue for the rest of the season. Now, things can change, unless, of course, I really like something in a game that Tennessee is involved in, but it's not in this case once again this week. So I'm just going to make this fast. I pass. And as I've been saying every week, I hope they get pummeled. Next game, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. And this one's going to be double the flavor, folks, as I have both a Money 5 selection for you, and I also will be completing that 3-team 10-point teaser on this game. And by the way, that should already make you know that I absolutely love this game. Now, Pittsburgh, which I'm going to start talking about first, whose hot run just came to an end. Russell Wilson finally losing his first game as a Pittsburgh Steeler. It all came to an end, to fruition last week, losing to the lowly Cleveland Browns on the nationally televised Thursday night game to top it all off. And let's not forget, they got extremely lucky, the Steelers did, to beat the Ravens in the week before that when Justin Tucker missed 2, not 1, but 2 crucial field goals. As part of my field goal kicker rant, does it cost me in that game, cost us in that game when we had the Ravens over Pittsburgh and lost by 2, even though those 2 missed field goals could have been 6 points our way and we would have won outright. So it's no doubt that the Steelers gifted that win. So coming off a loss, off a gifted win the week before that, and now on the other side, we have a Cincinnati Bengal team whose season has been pretty much on the line every week, it seems, right? But this truly is their last chance. It is. And I'm not going to say it again. I won't be saying it again next week if they lose, trust me. They have to run the table, and they have to win this game. And with a win, by the way, they could make a really nice run still. I mean, look who they have upcoming. They have the injured train wreck that is the Cowboys next. Then they have the shit Titans. Titans, almost said Texans. The shit Titans. And after that, they have the 3-win Browns. So they could easily find themselves at 8-7. And even at that point, let's say they get there, they have the Broncos after that. Why not? I think they can do it. 5 straight to sit themselves at 9-7 against those opponents. It is very feasible, very possible. And then when it's all said and done, listen to this before finishing the season off. The last game in the last week, they face the Steelers again. Wow. We just finished talking about how big that Minnesota-Detroit game could be in the last week. Well, schedulers, I got to give it to you. You did a great job. We have another game that could be for all the marbles if it works out that way. So this is the game, I believe, that the Cincinnati Bengals will provide you with the best game they have to date. They are catching the Steelers off the loss, which I think is very important also. And this is the perfect time for the Bengals to right the ship, turn this season around, get on a 5-game run, and have it come down to that last game where they'll face the Steelers once again. Take the Bengals. This is not only a Money 5 selection. We're going to take them on the money line. But we're also going to finish off the teaser by taking the Bengals from 2.5 up to plus 7.5. So that's going to end up being 2 selections here. Finish off the 3-team 10-point teaser. And we're also going to take them on the money line. I absolutely love this game. It's the game that I have made a name for myself, the type of game where I prove myself, why I've won so many accolades over the years. The tough games are the ones that I make look easy. And again, have made a name for myself. I love the Bengals. Enjoy it. Take it. It's my favorite play of the week. Next game, and another game I absolutely love, the LA Rams against New Orleans. It is another Money 5 selection. Yes, I absolutely love this game. Also, I just got finished talking about the Bengals, who is my favorite play of the week. Well, this is a very close second. Almost love it as much as I do the Bengals. Here's the breakdown here, what I have on this one. The Rams are coming off the loss. You remember to the Eagles last Sunday night. And their season now is on the line. This is an absolute must-win against the team, let's face it, in New Orleans, who pretty much has nothing more than pride to play for. What do they have to play for? They're way better than New Orleans. It's not even close. There's no reason, with the desperation that they're going to have coming into this game, the motivation they're going to have coming off that loss to a very good Eagles team, they know they're better. This line added the cherry on top, if you ask me, is a gift. So you have to win this game. LA Rams, season on the line. This is the game. Right the ship. Get a big win. Forget about the fact that New Orleans is off for bye. Who cares? They have nothing left to play for. They've thrown in the white towel on this season. Hill this, hill that. He had a good game last game. Who cares? Not going to do it 2 games in a row. I love the LA Rams to have a great performance, a big performance. It's in the Dome. That's where Stafford shines. He's going to play great. He loved playing in Detroit in the Dome. He's going to love playing in the Dome here in this one. Take the LA Rams, another game I absolutely love. Next game, Tampa Bay and Carolina. Well, you might be surprised at who I take in this game, folks. Carolina had their best game of the season last week, and Bryce Young right along with it. Now, we all know that I've been all over Bryce Young all season long, and rightfully so, right? He's been absolutely abysmal, and abysmal to say the least. But I give credit when credit's due. And not only did Carolina finally have a good game, Bryce Young had a great game. One of his best games of his young career. And they probably deserve some better fate, didn't they? I mean, it was the Super Bowl champs. They took them down to the wire. And like we spoke about earlier in the podcast, Kansas City just finding a way with their typical horseshoe luck to pull it out. But that's what champs do. I'll give them credit for that. It wasn't like it was a bad call or suspicious call from the refs this time. Kansas City didn't look great. They just pulled it off against a team that they are better than. But Carolina definitely played a good game. They played the defense perfectly. Goes back to my conversation there about Steve Spagnuolo's defense and how they might be starting to get to him, get to his ways. And because of that, I like Carolina here in this one. I really think that games like that can inspire a team. They don't have much to play for left other than jobs, pride, whatever you have left at this point in the season. But I truly believe that might be a bit of a spark that you didn't think was still there anymore to lead them into this one. Tampa Bay is a strange team to me. You never know what you're getting off that team. They look great one game. Next game, they look the complete opposite. They've had injury problems. They don't have Evans, and they got Godwin back now. So I don't know what to expect from this team week in and week out. It comes down to this one. My gut feeling is that it's a lot of points. Carolina a little bit inspired, maybe even a lot inspired. Let's hope so, heading into this one. So I'll take a shot here with the dog. Bite up to a touchdown. I think you got a really nice pick there on the Panthers here in this one. Next game, Philadelphia and Baltimore. And this is my final Money 5 selection. This is my gut pick of the week. Sometimes it's strictly all gut. Nothing more, no stats, no inside information, nothing. Just straight out gut pick. Another type of pick I built a reputation on, built my name on, and I will continue to do so here on this one. Now, arguably, you could make a decent argument for both sides. I get it. Philly looks amazing. Baltimore, coming off that solid Harbaugh Bowl win last week. But again, it comes down to the gut here in this one. I believe, and I feel in my gut, that Baltimore is the better team. And they're a better team at home with another, what seems to me like a gifted line. Gifted. Shouldn't this line be over a field goal? Or at least 3? But we have it at 2.5. And I get also that Philly has righted the ship after some early season struggles, to say the least. They didn't get off to a great start, if you remember. And there was some supposed internal issues, which I really thought could have led to like a firing of the coach. Hurts and the coach not getting along. I heard so many things. I even had some inside sources tell me it was real. It was happening. So I was very surprised, I'll be completely honest with you, that it strangely all of a sudden just seemed to disappear. I don't know if they had meetings or if they just kind of figured it all out or what happened, but it sure was shocking to see this turnaround. And since then, Philly, the Eagles, have won 7 straight. But, and there is a big but here, let's take a look at who they have beat in these 7 games. That strength of schedule is huge in my opinion. In those 7 wins, they beat a 3-win Cleveland Brown team, a 2-win New York Giants team, another 2-win Jags team. They also beat a 4-win Cowboys team who was just an absolute train wreck and has the worst defense in the league this year, by far. So I think it's fair to say all 4 of those 7 teams suck. And then when you look at who they beat, okay, they beat Cincinnati. Cincinnati, in my opinion, is still a good team, but you got to go by the record. They've only won 4 wins. So again, so far nobody over 4 wins. The one team they beat over 4 wins, the Rams, have a losing record, 5-6. So the only team that they've actually beat with a winning record, if you can believe this, over those 7 games are the Washington Commanders. And if there's something to say about the Washington Commanders right now, they seem to be coming back down to earth with 3 straight losses. So what does that all mean to you? I mean, to me, it means that they haven't beat a top-notch team. So this has got to be a fabricated record due to a fabricated weak schedule. I'm not buying it. I don't think the Eagles are who they say they are. I'm all over the Baltimore Ravens here with, again, another small gifted line that we can simply take on the money line. Why not? It's just that easy. This is pure money in the bank. Again, you're going to be laughing all the way to the bank with another big money 5 selection. Next game, and we're down to our last 2 selections of week 13. First, this Sunday nighter, San Francisco at Buffalo. Okay, so without knowing the status of Purdy here in this one, along with Buffalo coming off the bye, this is going to have to be a pass for me. I will say, though, if Purdy does get the start, I would then lean towards San Francisco, especially when you consider that Buffalo is coming off that emotional win off the Chiefs game, the big win against the champs. So in that case, especially coming off the bye, it actually works against a lot more than not teams that are heading into the bye on a good note, big note. That was a huge note, that emotional win over Kansas City. Now they've had 2 weeks to enjoy that, hear how good they are. While San Francisco, on the other hand, are desperate and their season is on the line. But again, it's the Purdy situation that really is the determining factor here. If Purdy would have been already acknowledged as a starter, I probably would have had this as a possible money 5 selection on San Francisco. Perfect letdown spot for Buffalo. But again, it's unfortunate that we don't know the status, so I will just tell you this here early on. If Purdy does play, it's worth a bet on San Francisco. The only reason it still wouldn't be a guaranteed big bet is because we don't know how hurt he's going to be. If he hasn't been acknowledged as a starter as of right now, there's obviously a big question mark still, and that's not a good sign, and that's not something that I'm going to feel comfortable laying big money on. So, again, if you're going to do anything, first wait and find out if Purdy is playing. If he is, get something down on San Francisco, but don't go too crazy. Next game, and we've reached the Monday night final selection of week 13, Cleveland at Denver. All right, so the Cleveland Browns coming off that big win against the Steelers. Wow. Nationally televised big game last Thursday. They should be feeling a bit better about themselves heading into this one against an overachieving Broncos team. Who would have thunk that this season? What a year they're having, led by, of course, quarterback Bo Nix, who's been quite the pleasant surprise for the Broncos. And he's such a big surprise, actually, that he's put himself in a real chance to pull off the Rookie of the Year. Maybe. He's definitely closing the gap with Jaden Daniels from Washington. I mean, Washington, as mentioned earlier, has lost 3 straight, so who knows? Could Bo Nix pull off the big surprise Rookie of the Year win? He's definitely got a chance. But in this situation, in this spot, with Cleveland coming off that big win, a huge emotional win that might give them just a bit of a spark, kind of like the Carolina Panther thing. These teams have, not too much to play for. And then you give them just a tiny bit of spark, and the line's overvalued on the other team, bringing back the value to the dog and to the weaker team in this spot. So Cleveland is the play here. It's the smarter, sharper play. I'm going to take Cleveland, but it's just a small lean on the Browns. Okay, now to recap your money 5 selections for week 13. Starting first with the New York Jets. Jets, Jets, plus 3.5. Second, money 5 selection on Cincinnati. Go with the Bengals on the money line. Third selection, LA Rams, also on the money line. Fourth selection, Baltimore. Take the Ravens, also on the money line. My final money 5 selection, a 3-team 10-point teaser on Detroit -0.5, LA Chargers plus 7.5, and Cincinnati plus 7.5. So again, New York Jets plus 3.5, Cincinnati money line, LA Rams money line, Baltimore money line, and a 3-team 10-point teaser on Detroit -0.5, LA Chargers plus 7.5, and Cincinnati plus 7.5. That'll do it for week number 13. I am the Phenom, wishing you all an amazing week. Let's get this money. See ya.